Morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. I hope it finds you well out there. The Fed meeting has started. The Bank of Japan. I guess they count, you know. I'll just say this. They raised rates for the first time in 17 years to zero. They got to do the between thing. Now, remember when they just would raise or lower rates like a quarter of a point? Well, now they got to do the between thing. So instead of negative 0.1%, it's going to be 0 to a positive 0.1%. Sure. Okay. I don't, and it's so funny because obviously this country, our situation's not good. Theirs is so much worse. Nobody uses the yen outside of some gimmick trades on Wall Street. No one buys anything with yens except for the Japanese. And I just find it interesting that they say the yen's at 150, which I'm sitting here thinking, how in the world is this thing not at 300, 400, 500? It's completely worthless, but okay. And by the way, the Japanese promised. Well, they didn't promise. See, now I'm making stuff up. They didn't promise. They're hopeful. Yes, let's have hope. We're hopeful that maybe we won't have to buy all of our own debt in the future. So I guess Japan is also signaling some easing of their quantitative easing. All the while, our central bank, which, by the way, lost, just $120 billion last year, no big deal, says that they're starting their meeting. We'll get their answer tomorrow. No rate movement expected at all. We are expected to hear about the reduction of quantitative tightening and also how many rate cuts. They still want to hear, Jason, 3 rate cuts. No matter what the inflation data is, that's what the markets want to hear tomorrow.
Well, I guess if the markets are falling later this year and having all kinds of stress, then they'll be worried a lot more about rate cuts. They're going to be worried about a lot more than that. They'll stop whining about rate cuts when the stock market goes down 25 or 30% if things start to roll in that direction. So I think this is their things are good, at least as far as their numbers. And let's get those rates down so I can get some more, right? Everyone wants to grab that profit, right? But it's only profit if you pull it. It's always the suckers that end up staying in there, and the whole thing drops on you. So, it's just kids in a classroom trying to get the teacher to do something. That's all.
I have $1 million in my 401k until you don't, right? And that's kind of kind of how it all goes through. And I'm making fun because the dollar's up today or the dollar's down against what? Right? A bunch of other crappy currencies that have no hope of ever doing anything other than taking money out of our pocket. That's all fiat money does. At the end of the day, fiat money is designed to make the vast majority of people poorer. That's just how it works. I didn't invent the rules. I did it. I have nothing to do with the rules. I'm just telling you how it works. Well, how do I know? You're some smart guy that nobody's ever heard of, and you know more than all of these people that went to Yale and Harvard and MIT and all of that. No. I just know how to look back at it. Fiat currency is not new. Hey, guess what, guys? Here's another news flash. We didn't invent fiat currency. Nope. It's not an American invention. There was banks before America existed. It's so funny. That blows people's minds away. What do you mean there was banks before America? No, there wasn't. Yeah, there was actually banking laws. Lots of them. For hundreds of years before we ever existed. I know. Oh, wow. I know, shocking stuff. Fiat money goes to zero. Every single time. And, of course, I started the show by making fun of the Japanese yen. And they pretend to give it some value. It has no value. Now, you might as well buy Iraqi dinars, right? I mean, it's about the same thing. It's worthless. And at the end of it, what happens? Well, we end up with a very few amount of people that have a lot of wealth and everybody else with nothing. That's just how it works. Matter of fact, I hate to, some of you know, the Chinese invented fiat money, just so you know. Way back, like in the 1200s. So we've got a lot of years, 1,000 years of history of fiat money. And all of you out there thinking somehow this is going to be different this time, it's not. You better start waking up. We've been telling you 2024 is a year of chaos. But Jason and I, both of us will tell you, we're way more worried about what happens in 2025 and 2026. It's going to get a lot worse. 2024 will still be okay. Right? It'll be a bunch of chaos, but it'll be all right. Wait till the bad stuff gets here. Wait till the bust gets here again. I know. All of this stuff has happened before America ever existed, and now it's just happening with us. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592 is our toll-free number. Joe and Jason here on this Tuesday. A quick look at the markets. The Dow's up 160. The S&P is down. The NASDAQ is down. Gold's off 6. Silver's down 15 cents. Crude oil, oh, man, up another 71 cents right now. 83.43. By the way, Brent 87.5. The 10-year note at 4.31. Crypto taking it on the chin today. Down about 5,000 at 62,000 on Bitcoin. I guess, Bitcoin is kind of the big crypto thing going out there. But I'm going to tell you this. Being diversified is going to be really, really important. If you've gotten your wealth, man, you need to load up on gold and silver. If you still need to build some wealth, check out why refi. You can get up to 10.25% fixed rates of return for 5 years. 10.25% this year. 10.25% next year. The year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. Here's the best part. It's not correlated to Wall Street. It could give two you-know-whats about the Japanese yen, right? and the Federal Reserve and all their schemes to try to convince us that somehow they care about us. They don't. How much more proof do you need? The Fed allegedly has only 2 mandates, right? Stable prices and full employment. They tell us, I didn't say it, they said it, that stable prices to them is your money losing 2% a year. Yeah. Think about that. That sounds like a good deal. Who the hell's signing up for that? Yeah, sign me up. Right? You get the Booyah Man, Jim Cramer telling you on CNBC. What a great thing that is. Maria Bartiromo. Oh, yeah, great, guys. Just 2%. Of course, what is it now? 4? Well, that they admit to. But yet they're not going to raise rates. I just told you, they care about rate cuts. They don't care about you. Why? Because they know the next crash is just around the corner. Why Refi can help you avoid that. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YREFI24. And as you know, you got to have at least $50,000. They don't attack principal if you need your money back early. I mean, there's no fees. There's no games. There's none of that. Trust me when I tell you. Do yourself a favor. Check them out. Right after you get some more gold and silver put away, check these guys out. Because let me tell you why. Why? Well, let me give you some examples of how much trouble we're really in. I don't know if everybody knows, but the Federal Reserve, the Congressional Budget Office, which, by the way, you want to save some money? Let's just get rid of that department right there. Because it's absolutely meaningless. What they tell you is worth absolutely nothing, and I'll get to that in a minute. And even the White House Office of Management and Budget, they predict the future. Well, they give you this is what's going to happen over the next 5 or 10 years. Now, I just talked to you about why refi, because Jason and I were really worried about 2025, 2026. We're worried about those next 5 years. Are these guys worried? Do you think any of those three groups that I just mentioned have ever predicted or said the United States was going to have a recession? Maybe just one time. Not once. Isn't that special? No, we're never going to have a recession. And matter of fact, for the next 10 years, they say that there is not going to be a recession in the United States. It's not me. It's what they say. How about inflation? Any guess as to what the Federal Reserve says inflation's going to be? Anybody? Bueller, hello. McFly, are you out there? Guess what, Jason? It's incredible. They say it's going to be 2%. See? Look how good they are. I don't have you there. Still don't have him. What happened to Jason? Did we lose Jason? Anyway, not one time. Nope. 2%. Isn't that great? What about the budget deficits? The Fed never predicts deficits, by the way. That's not their thing to do. By the way, they did say, besides inflation only being at 2%, the unemployment rate is going to be only at 4.1%. So are they good at their job? See, we said our two mandates, stable prices and full employment. I mean, unemployment right now is 3.9. They're saying, hey, listen, we're going to be 2% inflation and 4.1% unemployment. Man, they're so good. Gosh, I can't believe I'm sitting there hammering these guys. Look at what they're telling us we can expect for the next 10 years. How about the Congressional Budget Office? And again, these guys are completely worthless. They say that the deficit for this year will be $1.6 trillion. Yes, I can't make that up. The deficit is going to go down. Well, how's that possible? We know it's not going down. Well, very simply put, the Congressional Budget Office can only predict what Congress and the Fed tell them, Jason. So they don't even use any line. Nope. We told you that the deficit's only going to be this, so you tell everybody that's what it's going to be. By the way, they say only $1.8 trillion in 2025, and then it's going to go miraculous. It's going to go back down. Yeah, it's going to go back down to $1.6 trillion. So the Congressional Budget Office says, "Don't worry, the budget deficits are high. They're just not going to get any worse."
The deficits always get worse. It's the debt money system has to grow, and they have to print more money, and printing money means more debt. Every dollar that's in circulation is a debt instrument. And Joe, as you were talking about inflation, how the Fed, 2% is so good. And you were talking, you've said how many times over the years that, they're stealing 2%. Never mind that federal income tax is stealing from you on the other side. And so I was looking, and, because unfortunately this is the way it is. We tell you to buy gold and silver, right? Well, I was looking at two things. The cost of a Big Mac, which I think you and Eric both used to do this one, but I once in a while I'll go and look at this. And I was looking at the gold price, the average closing daily gold price back in 2001. I did the Big Mac, and I did the ounce of gold, that was selling, the spot price, and it was $271 gold in 2001. Average closing price in 2024 is $2,057. In 2021 is a little over $1,800. Okay, so you're looking at like an eightfold increase, essentially. Maybe a little less than that if you go 2021, because the Big Mac they only wanted the Big Mac to go from 2001 to 2021, right before that inflation came roaring in, right, Joe? And the Big Mac went from $2.54 for the Big Mac to $5.65 in 2021. And that comes out to 4% annual inflation, which shows you their 2% number and their fraudulent calculations. Joe, when they want to get it back down to 2%, it's because they want to get it down to 4%. And they say it's not a bad thing. If you want to go with their logic, they expect you, the average American, to know that you need to hold certain assets in place that can outpace their inflation that they cost through taxation and printing. Great, and a lot of the listeners of this show have been buying gold and have kept up above the price of the Big Mac going up. That's great. But some of the average Americans, Joe, they don't know what's going on. You can't expect everybody to know economic terms when you go to the public school system and they teach you nothing about money. So, and you're right, they want to take 4% from you. They're taking 4%. They're not taking 2%. If inflation's 3.5% by their numbers, let's just say, then they're taking 7%. We're losing 7%. That's why they're freaked out and want to get down to 2%, because they know they're taking 4%, Joe. It's terrible, and you have to have assets that keep up with that and savings. And if you're not saving money, then when you see the bad stuff that happens to the old timers at the end of their life, and they're penniless and broke, and somebody's abusing them in the old folks' home, that's where you're headed. I mean, so that's just plain and simple. Everyone gets, if you're not blessed with dying early, so that you don't have to go through that, you're going to have a very bad end of life if you don't take care of yourself. Because these guys, how many times have I said this, Joe? Don't worry about your money. Somebody else will, right?
Right. And let me tell you right now, they're not worried about your money, because it's not yours. As long as it's in the system, it's not yours. You buy stocks, it's not your money. You have money in your bank, it's not your money. That's another one that's this is how they deceive everybody. You would think what I just said so far today would be taught in every school in America. Before you graduate high school, you need to know. But no, instead, what do? They teach you that the central bank is good. How is even their great plan of devaluing by 2%, how's that good? Right? Every 10 years, your money's worth 20% less. That's a good thing. Who in their right mind would think that's good? Who? And, of course, right now, how much less is it really? Right? The same house on the same street that is 5 years older today than it was 5 years ago. So chances are, right, the roof's 5 years older, the AC's 5 years older, the water heater's 5 years older, right? The interior design is 5 years older. And yet somehow the price has doubled? It's gone up 100%? No. The house didn't change. How much your dollars buy is what's changed. The value of the money is what's changed. It's like the cow. Right? Like the cow. Right? Back 100 years ago, $20. Right? Now a cow's like $2,000. But it's still a dang cow. Right? Produces the same amount of meat that it did back then as it does today. What's changed? Central bank wants to devalue everything you have. That's why, have you ever really thought about it? Who thinks $100,000 is a lot of money anymore? Man, you used to make 6 figures. Holy crap. Man, you were living in the upper high-end middle-class neighborhood. You know, you probably had a gated community. Man, I'm making 6 figures. Pulling it in. Right? Yeah, 6 figures doesn't go very far anymore, does it? Sure doesn't. And that's really what's happening. And like I said, you know, think about history. Before, hundreds of years before America was even a country, there was a case in England in the 1400s about who owns the money that's in the bank. Guess what they decided, guys? I know, shocker. You don't. That's what they decided. The bank owns the money. I don't teach that in school either. Patriot Radio News Hour. We're going to help you have the bank own less of your money when we return. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour, as we're going to wait for the big Fed meeting from tomorrow. Have you figured it out yet? Doesn't matter. I mean, think about what they've said. If you believe, how about this? If you believe what the Fed has put out there, I didn't put it out there. They've done. For the next 10 years, inflation's going to be 2%, and the unemployment rate's going to be 4.1. That's their projections. I mean, think about this. This is what you're sitting around in a room for today and tomorrow? Right? You think any of those people actually believe that? But let's just say you do. Then don't buy gold. I'll just tell you that right now. If you believe the Congressional Budget Office, that the budget deficit's going to go down. That's what they said. How did they say it? Well, pretty simple. They just said, well, GDP's going to go even higher this year than last year. That's how, I mean, well, how did they figure that? Well, that's because that's what they told us to say. So ridiculous. And the Japanese yen has value, guys. You can believe that, too. If you don't believe that, if you believe, like I do, that we're just getting ready for the next bust, because that's the cycle. Again, this is the cycle they decided on. This is a fiat money cycle. This is what fiat money cycles are. Japan's a great example. They're just a little bit ahead of us. Not much. Believe me, we're trying to catch them. Get yourself prepared. I'm going to tell you this right now. Matter of fact, you know what? Here, how about this? So, out of the kindness of their hearts, CNBC, wanted you guys to know that, okay, yeah, there's still more troubled banks out there, and don't worry about New York Community Bank, because it's gonna survive. But according to them, the stressed banks are now more than 280 of them. They have $900 billion in assets. Jason, how much does the FDIC have in insurance money? What is it? 100?
Yeah, it's not
about 100 billion, give or take.
Yeah,
maybe 120 billion. But they had 900 billion in assets. But I want you to know, there's only one bank, just one, that's stressed. that has over $100 billion in assets. And that's New York Community Bank, just so you know. All the others, they're fine. Okay? Well, how do we know they're fine? Well, because they told us. Oh, you mean we just took their word for it? Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, yes. Yep. That's what happens. That's the facts. But don't worry. We look at their word. That's what they do. We looked at it. And, okay, well, you said you're not stressed, so okay. Must not be stressed. By the way, they closed that lending facility last week. Right before it closed, they borrowed another $3 billion. It closed at the all-time high, $168 billion. But anyway, just one bank over $100 billion. All the other banks, obviously, have less than that. 265 of those banks are banks with less than $10 billion in assets. So these are the small banks. Don't worry, there's only 265 of them. But that is $363 billion. Again, way more than what the FDIC could possibly have. And they're saying that commercial real estate loans are now making up like 300% of capital. In addition to that, guys, I got, who's got the most exposure? J.P. Morgan. But don't worry, because J.P. Morgan, they're not in trouble because, well, let's face it, they're a huge, huge bank. How bad is the commercial real estate problem? New York Community Bank all by itself posted a $2.7 billion loss in a single quarter. And they only have assets of $116 billion. You can kind of do the math in all of this, Jason. And again, they're trying to pretend, don't worry, it's fine. What could possibly go wrong? How about Philadelphia? That's not even a city that's really been on the radar. Do you know that people are now talking that Philadelphia may end up where they're only half of the downtown office space will be rented out in just 4 years' time? Yeah, that's what they're talking about. I'm sorry, I said Philadelphia. I meant Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. They're saying that downtown Pittsburgh, the buildings in downtown Pittsburgh may be half empty in the next 4 years. But, Jason, there's not going to be a recession. We're going to have full employment, and inflation's only going to be 2%, so everything's okay.
Things are a lot worse than the news will report to you as far as these things you're talking about, Joe. So, and the numbers are so hard to actually gauge. We've been looking at the employment numbers and scratching our heads, and the numbers just don't seem to match. But, when you look around, things just don't look good, Joe. It just seems like there's always a step in the wrong direction. I've had multiple friends now in one of the local areas here in Colorado that are having theft problems. I mean, these are nice areas. Theft. This thing that was stolen, this guy had I think it's called an e-bike. I don't even know what it is. My wife is telling me about it. And it was a nice area of town. He parked it at the grocery store. Gone. The e-bike. I don't know what they did. Throw it in a truck. I don't know what it is right there in front of cameras and witnesses and everything. This guy got lucky. Oh, they found it same day, right? 50 miles away in another town at a pawn shop. This stuff is happening. The other friend, he had his stuff at a storage facility. These guys went into the storage facility and wiped it out. These are things that people need, and these are nice areas of towns, Joe.
Theft rings are all over the place here in Arizona. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. Yesterday, we had the silver spectacular sale, and it was the best silver sale we've had, I know, this year, probably last year, maybe the year before, when you're, buying silver below cost, below spot. I still have about 10 rolls of the Libertads. That is the Mexico's version of the Silver Eagles. They're $495. Which, by the way, puts it at $24.75 an ounce. Silver right now is down 10 cents, just below $25 an ounce. So below spot on government hallmarked silver. That's just, again, if you're buying silver, you can't buy it any cheaper than that. And then the Morgan dollars. Pre-1921 Morgans. These are AU by just about anybody's standard, but I'm going to say this is going to, except the AUs, these things are nice looking. And I told you, we're talking way below cost. At $695 a roll. We had 25 rolls. I thought these would go first. I really did. Jason, he said, the Libertads, that's the, buying below spot. That's a no-brainer. But you're buying these Morgans, especially an AU Morgan. You're buying it for like almost $7 below cost. $695 a roll. That's $34.75. I highly recommend to anybody out there that's looking to add some silver, jump on these two, because you're not gonna see that type of thing happening very, very often. And then on the gold side, $20 Liberties today, $2,350. You got gold down $7 today, and everyone's going to wait for tomorrow, right? We don't know. Who knows what the Fed is going to say? But if history's any indication, Jason, I think it's going to be dovish, because that's just what they are, right? They don't really, let's face it, they don't really want to control inflation. They just want you to believe that's what they want.
I'm sure they'll say we're going to watch the data. I'm sure that's what I don't care what's going on. That's what they do. We watch data. Don't take it easy. We're watching the data. But, I'll say this about the Morgan dollars. The more experienced silver buyers know what the value is on buying these Morgans at this price. So buy them up. And I told Joe, it's like sometimes we run a special. It's just one and gone. And so since it's a little bit more of an experienced silver buyer's item, we'll run these for a couple days. If we have any left, we might run them tomorrow. But once people that know silver coins and know what these old silver dollars are really worth, and they hear the price, they could disappear on one phone call. So if you're thinking about it, that's not the best thing to do, because a lot of times when we have these deals, a couple rolls here sell, a couple rolls there, then one guy calls in and buys the rest. We don't have very many. And then for the inexperienced silver buyers, the Libertad, buying any silver below spot, at or below spot, we don't get silver at or below spot. So you guys have the opportunity, because of this buy that we made, to buy silver at or below spot. So the fact that those aren't gone yesterday shows that not enough listeners yesterday. We have good days, we have bad days, ebbs and flows. But you better call your friend. If you bought into it, to call your friends. All those guys that bought Libertas yesterday, good job. And anybody that buys it today, it's a good job. You're just really smart. Either the 1904 and older, because the Morgan dollars we're talking about in 1878 to 1904. That's the range of years. These are 130-year-old coins. And then of course the Libertas, those are mint, those are bullion type coins from the Mexican mint. Just jump on it, get one of each, get yourself some silver, and sit back and stop worrying about it, because the customers of Patriot Trading Group that I've observed in the 6 years I've been meeting with customers, they're the most relaxed and comfortable people I ever met. They hear the Fed's having a meeting tomorrow. Yeah, they might listen in and see what Joe has to say, but they're not sweating Joe. They're just not.
Yeah, I have without a doubt, and I'll be honest with you, I was shocked. I mean, Arlene is always off on Monday, so we only have Brittany and Kathy. So I actually had my wife come in because I'm like, man, I think the phones are going to blow up. We're going to have all the lines jam packed here because these are dumb deals, right? You know, who does it, right? You don't do that. I can't buy them for anywhere close to these prices. So for whatever reason, like you said, Jason, you know what? It just,
people are out of money, Joe. People don't have money. We've had a lot of sellers. We have a lot of our customers that are selling. And if you're one of those people out there that you don't have to sell your silver and gold to us, take heed to understand that we have customers that can't hold on, and that's what they bought it for. And if you got it, I'm telling you, if you can squeeze off a few of those dollars that you don't own in the bank, buy some of this silver. Buy the $20 Liberties. I mean, nothing like an ounce of gold, right, Joe, to make your portfolio a nice higher value.
Yeah, that's the best thing, right? When you're, stacking silver is great. Boy, stacking gold, what a great feeling that is. 800-951-0592. The last of the silver spectacular sale, way below cost on silver today. 800-951-0592. Jason and I are coming back, wrapping it up on this Tuesday. 800-951-0592. This is going to be your last shot here on buying silver well below cost. In the case of the Libertads, the Mexican equivalent of the Silver Eagle 21-ounce silver coins, $495. That is below spot. Think about it. Silver rounds. There's $90 more, $95 more. So just look at it this way. I'm buying a government hallmark. Now, it's not U.S. government, but Mexican government hallmark silver for less than I can buy a round, a bar, anything out there at $495. And then last day on the pre-1921 Morgans, these are AU quality, $695 a roll, almost $7 below cost, $6.75 below cost. That's why I said it. You know what? We can't replace them. I can't buy Libertad for below spot. I can't buy AU Morgan dollars for, they cost me $41.50. So, and then of course on the gold side, $20 Liberties, $2,350 at 800-951-0592. And Jason, I guess we'll wait for tomorrow as well. But it's been weird. The last few meetings, gold and silver have rallied after these meetings, which is unusual. We'll see if that continues.
Well, the markets are starting not to believe that what's going on, and what's going to happen is going to happen whether Jerome Powell says something's going to happen or not. And, the silver specials, as we're getting ready to wrap up the show, I have a lot of customers, they'll buy a roll of Silver Eagles, and we have a special, and they come in to pick up the Silver Eagles, and do you have another one of those? It's like, well, I can't give you the same price. It went up a little bit. Yeah, I can get you one. But when it comes to these Morgans, once you buy one and you're sitting there opening up and looking at it as you're paying for it, hey, can I get another one of these? Yeah, no. Nope. This special, this is one of those where you want another roll of the Libertads at that price. It's just not going to happen, Joe. It's this is when we give you special prices on things. That's why we do it. It's because that is the price that's the best that day, and especially on items like this. So highly suggest when the markets are kind of going sideways and kind of stagnant today, this is a great day to buy. Sometimes you buy when it goes down, Joe. Sometimes you buy when it goes up. Sometimes it's kind of trailing off to the side. Maybe that's a pretty decent time to buy also. When you don't know for sure if the next day is going to go up or down. It's not really going up really fast. It's like, I don't like guys that like to buy the dips. There's all these different strategies, but every day that you have money sitting in your account getting wasted by the inflation is a good day to put it in silver and gold, Joe.
Yeah, well, isn't that the truth right now? We got two lines open, 800-951-0592. Keep adding to the portfolio. We'll see what the Fed says right now. They're pretty good about, I'll say that, I kind of ripped them here pretty good today, but I'll say this. They are very consistent. All lines are now open. So make sure if you get the answering machine, call back 800-951-0592. But they are pretty good at telegraphing their meetings. So by all accounts, I'm not expecting any big change other than, like Jason said, we're going to watch the data. We still anticipate rate cuts. We're slowing down the tightening. I think that's probably what we're going to get tomorrow. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the Half Empty Cup.